Today's guest, Charlotte von Riess, Director Talent Acquisition at Doctolib.
Should love doing technique, loving data, love to learn something new, and being curious. Actually, I think as a sourcer, you have to be very curious and love talking with people, looking, searching, and so on. And that's why actually, for me, it was easy to find sources. And yes, 19 direct reports are a lot, but I think my way of leadership is more that everybody is taking ownership and is really feel responsible for him or herself and his duties. And I'm more like the encourager and the one who's there for the jokes. No, but actually like motivating them and so on. And really, I think it's all about trust also. Yeah. So I'm not at all the controlling kind of leader. I always think when you trust people, when you are open to them, then it works out.
This episode is mainly about sourcing. So we talked about different relationships between sourcing, talent acquisition, and the HR business partner, and how to transform an organization that was poorly run by HR business partners doing the talent acquisition and recruiting to a centralized function at Deutsche Bahn with a huge talent acquisition and recruiting function of 120 people and then scaled to 900 people. So probably the biggest talent acquisition organization here in Germany. And then we also talked in a deep dive about sales, sourcing, what is the different KPIs, career track the sourcing function could have. And overall, what are some learnings, best practices on what a good sourcer or a good sourcing function looks like. So if you're into sourcing, enjoy the episode.
Then you can build trust, and then you can spend less time communicating and more time just getting shit done.
Then I went home and thought about this sentence.
We basically put it on the table.
Hiring takes time. People are trained.
How to objectively judge certain situations.
It's very, 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 very hard to change things.
That was the learning.
Entrepreneurs with empathy.
To the people side.
Hi, Charlotte. That's really nice to see you again, because you were an introduction and referral and recommendation of the next guest from Christine.
Yes.
That's always good that also this kind of guest sourcing is working. So, and we also had a chance to meet each other at the RC23 festival last week. So it's now beginning of mid of June. Nice to see you and nice to have you as a guest.
Yeah, thank you very much having you here in your podcast. And of course, thank you to Christine. She's my former colleague at the Deutsche Bahn. And thank Christine that she recommended me.
Cool. So maybe we start a bit about context of yourself. Could you maybe tell us a bit more? What's your background, what you're passionate about, and so on?
Yes, of course. Yes, my name is Charlotte. I'm working right now as a director talent acquisition at Doctolib, and since 1 year, so it's my 1 year anniversary actually. And I'm actually totally into sourcing, talent marketing, recruiting, finding people and inspire people for my company or for new jobs. And this is actually all around me. I'm actually living since 3 years on the countryside. We used to live a long time in Berlin, in the middle of Berlin, in the city center. And actually, 3 years ago, we escaped to the land, to the countryside. My husband is a farmer, and of course, my kids are really love it actually being on the countryside. And though we also love to be in Berlin, and that's why I'm very happy to work for Doctolib, and that's why I'm really often in Berlin or even also in Paris, where our headquarters is.
Nice. I also have a connection to being a farmer because my grandparents have been a farmer. And do you also have animals?
No, we just have 3 chickens and a dog, and the rest is all about crops.
Nice. And
yes.
Where are you located?
Actually close to Frankfurt. So in the middle of nowhere. It's actually 1.5 hours from Frankfurt.
Ah, nice. Okay, so yes. It was then really a good chance to grab you at the festival because you're not regularly in Berlin then.
Right. But actually, I'm really often in Berlin because I love Berlin and I've loved to be in the office also. And so that's why I'm traveling quite often, actually, also to Berlin.
Okay, cool. And you were at Deutsche Bahn and then you did, I think, sourcing mainly, right?
Yes, actually, I started as the first senior recruiter at the Deutsche Bahn in the eastern part of Germany. So this was my responsibility. And that was 2012. And when I started, we were 120 in talent acquisition. And now at the Deutsche Bahn, there are, I think, 900,000 people are working for talent acquisition. So I was the kind of pioneer, actually, bringing recruiting to the Deutsche Bahn. So we were like a little startup. We were the young and wild recruiters, And now...
I need to ask a question there.
Yes.
So for the 120 people, when you joined, how did the organization look like when you were the first recruiter, but there were already 120 talent acquisition people there?
We all started new as a recruiting startup at the Deutsche Bahn before the HR business partner did the job. And so we were really like the starting point, 2012 talent acquisition at the Deutsche Bahn. So before the HR business partner did that. And now my job, I think, recruiting doing in Eastern Germany, I think 120 recruiter doing what I did 2012. I was responsible actually from finding train drivers and lawyers. Yeah. So I was for blue collars and white collars, I was responsible. And now it's divided and into different target groups. And also, of course, different kind of IT recruiting and core service recruiting and so on. Yeah. But
and
when
how
I
did
started,
you approach
I was
it back then?
Of course, we
with
didn't have so many.
I think it's really...
Yes, it was. So it was interesting, of course, and was good. But we really, found out after a while that actually it's better to concentrate on target groups, and that's why I was then responsible for core services. And then after a while, I was responsible also for the talent sourcing. So after my parental leave, I came back and actually I was responsible to go through whole of Germany doing interviews. And I told my boss at that time, I have 3 little kids. I can't do this anymore. I have to pick them up and I can't travel to Sylt and to Munich on the same time. So we decided that I'm changing to the sourcing team. And we were just 3 people there, actually, just a very little sourcing team when you imagine for the Deutsche Bahn. And my boss, she went then to parental leave, and that's why actually I got the team lead position. And then the team grew from 3 sources to 21. So we were actually responsible for core services, engineering, IT, and blue collar. And when my boss came back and she saw the big team, then we said, okay, how about dividing the team, that I'm getting the IT and engineering sourcing and she's getting the core services and blue collars. And then the team grew again to 19. I had 19 sources, 19 direct reports. And we were responsible actually for the real diamonds, finding really people for the Deutsche Bahn who have lots of train experience, lots of engineering, IT skills, and was hard actually, but I really liked the challenge.
Yes, I have many questions there because I think it's a very interesting challenge at that size, right? So there are not so many talent acquisition organizations with that size. First question. How was the transition from moving recruitment away from the HR business partners to talent acquisition? What do you think, looking backwards, were some learnings or maybe also some mistakes you made?
Yeah. Of course, I don't want to blame the past. But of course, I think everybody who has this challenge or this transformation, it's good to take always the HR business partner with you and giving him the acknowledgement and saying, hey, what can I learn from you? What can we do together? Actually, when I was till 2019 at the Deutsche Bahn and went then back to Otto Bock they're doing prosthetics, orthotics, and wheelchairs. And actually, before I went to the Deutsche Bahn, I was also at this company already. And I had, when I came to Otto Bock, I had the same issue or same challenge. The HR business partner did the recruiting, and then I came with my new talent acquisition team. What was actually interesting here, also what I experienced at the Deutsche Bahn, some of the HR business partners said, please take recruiting. I don't like it. Can you please have it tomorrow or yesterday? And other HR business partner were like, I like to go to interviews and I like to be very close to the boss, to the leaders there. And they were like, oh, you are so young, guys. You can't do the recruiting. We are 20 years here and so on. So I also had the same challenge at the Deutsche Bahn, that we really had to, give them the understanding that we are having a different mindset, different strategy there, doing more like really only recruiting. Because when you are HR business partner, you have such a wide range to do and can't really focus on active sourcing, on talent marketing, on recruiting. Though I can understand that they love to go to interviews, but when you go to interviews from Monday till Friday, from the morning to the end, you can't do other things anymore, or you can't concentrate on recruiting. So my advice here is actually giving them showing them why it's important that you separate recruiting. Second one, still acknowledge what they have done, really saying, cool, what can I really learn from them? And really, what I really think it's important to be really side by side, one team as a HR business partner, as a recruiter, and not, playing against each other actually, because at the end, the teams, they really want to benefit from HR, and then they don't really care if there's a business partner or a recruiter. They just want that the job is of recruiting and the people management is done.
Yes, I totally agree. And this is a problem in many, many companies. And it's also, I think, a hard transition, especially if not all the frameworks are there and the processes are set up. For instance, one example I know where there is always maybe not a fight, but some tension regarding salary negotiations, right? Let's say there is a headcount plan, but it's not 100% accurate in terms of what is the actual salary we plan for. And what is the actual salary we can start offering? Because sometimes you make the financial plan at the very conservative level with the highest salary, but you don't want to offer immediately the highest salary possible, right? And who is making this decision? Do the managers have the authority? What is the involvement of the HR business partners? What is the freedom and responsibility as well from the recruiters and sources, right? So did you also see problems there?
I think that's why I think it's really important to work from the beginning when you are getting a job with the HR business partner already, that you really talk about the job leveling, about what is the range actually and what is the maximum. Actually, I was lucky because I always worked for companies where the job leveling or tariff contract is there. So there wasn't so much discussion. Of course, when you're getting on higher levels, then you have more freedom and then you have more challenges. But I think that's why it's really, really important to be close with the team lead, but also with the HR business partner, that at the end, there's not a big discussion, because at the end, the time counts. So everybody gets confused, especially the candidate, when they are in the 3 interviews or 2 interviews and having a case, and then it takes a lot of time with the salary, that they will go away and don't trust you anymore. So that's why I think it's good to make this clear and talk about it right from the beginning.
In case you like my show, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Okay, and when you then had the team centralized in talent acquisition, how did you then hire so many sources? And also, how did you lead 17 or 19 direct reports?
Yes, actually, I don't know. It just happened. So I really had the freedom actually to grow the team. And I really believe as a sourcer, you don't have to have the background of HR. So I was really open. I was really, really lucky because I got also one IT engineering recruiter who studied engineering and IT. And he said, actually, I was never good at IT and never good at engineering, but still I loved to do recruiting. And this was a jackpot actually, because he could really talk on eye level with the leaders about the jobs and also with the candidates. I really loved that. And that's why I was really open finding sources, because I thought all the skills I have, I can teach them. And just the mindset, and the mindset should be okay, that they are more, like customer orientated. And that was enough for me actually. Yeah. So of course we did sourcing tests and so on, but my best sources were actually, from other businesses, other departments and so on. So I have, of course, for example, one of my sources, Yeni, he was actually, he did, how do you say, bank. So he used to work for a bank, and then he changed to the Deutsche Bahn and did his dual student there, and was actually there. Actually, he wanted to go to the delivery and going into the service of the ICEs. And then I hired him as a sourcer, and he is still, after more than 10 years, a sourcer, and he's a very good sourcer. Yeah. So actually, I think for me, it was important talking with people, really getting understanding what is the mindset behind it, how do they talk with you, what do they understand as a service, and then they are a good sourcer. And of course, they should know or should love doing technique, loving data, love to learn something new, and being curious. Actually, I think as a sourcer, you have to be very curious and love talking with people, looking, searching, and so on. And that's why actually for me it was easy to find sources. And yes, 19 direct reports are a lot, but I think my way of leadership is more that everybody is taking ownership and is really feel responsible for him or herself and his duties. And I'm more like the encourager and the one who's there for the jokes. No, but actually like motivating them and so on. And really, I think it's all about trust also. Yeah. So I'm not at all the controlling kind of leader. I always think when you trust people, when you are open to them, then it works out.
I totally agree. And so you say that the core attributes of a successful sourcers are, there is the job group, job family knowledge, so the domain expertise,
yes,
and having certain level of curiosity, taking ownership and being proactive, and then also being good with data, or at least having interest in using data and so on.
Yeah. And also loving going through the social media. Yeah. So posting, being a social webber, of course. Love to build up your network. I think this is so important, especially as a sourcer, because you're, of course, sourcing for maybe one job, but still you're talking with a lot of people, and you have to think, oh, maybe he or she fits also here. Or you have to remember, oh, okay, actually this one I talked 3 months ago fits now on this job. Yeah. So I think being good organized, good memory, but also, building up a good network is very important. And also, I think it's important to be bold and being a good advisor to the recruiter or the team lead, or to the hiring manager, because to be honest, often the picture of the perfect candidate, a sourcer has to break. Yeah. Because you will never find this perfect candidate. Yeah. And already in the briefing talk, you should talk with the hiring manager, show already market analysis and showing them what is the real life out there, before making a dream picture. And we are all looking for Barbie and Ken. So we won't find them. Yeah. And I think this is also especially important as a sourcer. Clearing expectations.
And clearing expectations in what sense? Also, that they clear expectations with the recruiters and the hiring managers, or that you clear expectations with them as a manager?
them as a manager, or all about the profile. Yeah, because when
Okay.
having a wish list actually, and you really can't fulfill this wish list. Yeah. For example, we used to have a sourcing job, and they told us to find more than 20 IT developer. We were looking for developers in Erfurt, so it's in Eastern Germany.
Oh.
And we said, and they had to speak German all, no English at all. And then we showed them, and said, okay, I know that for you it's important to have them in Erfurt, and you all want them to have them in the office and also not in home office. So we showed with a market analysis that actually around Erfurt in 50 kilometers, we found not much. And that was good actually, because then they changed their mind and they were thinking, okay, it's also okay to having a hub in Frankfurt and a hub in Berlin. And so we could fulfill actually this job.
I think sourcing or sourcers is a highly strategic function if you do it right.
Yes.
A lot of
totally
companies
100%
or people,
agree.
They treat it more as an admin role. Yeah, you just need to send some LinkedIn messages.
Yeah.
These are the bad sourcing functions, or the companies that are not strategic enough from a talent acquisition perspective.
Yes.
And you can also see this, I think, in how the company operates in terms of efficiency and effectiveness, because there's so much potential you can discover if you understand labor markets for certain functions, right?
Yeah. And especially as a sourcer, you have to understand everything. Yeah, because I don't want to make it too small, but as a recruiter, you get, when you do the normal inbound and you don't source, you get the application, you talk with the candidate, okay, and then he or she goes to the interview. And then actually the hiring manager is explaining the team, what it's all about, and can all answer these questions. As a sourcer, you have to pitch already at the first talk with the candidate. You have to know everything. Where is the train station? Where are the benefits? What is the team spirit? What is the next project about? How is the team leader? And so on. So this is a big picture you have to do. On the other side, you have to understand which keywords, how do I really find this? What is the stack? Yeah. So when you're doing especially IT sourcing, you really have to understand who are you looking for, because of course, JavaScript and Java and so on, there's totally different skill set actually. And you have to find these kind of keywords, finding the people. And I think this is what I really love actually on sourcing, because you have to really deep dive to really understand the job and also understand the candidates and doing the matching. And when the candidate is there, you have to sell the candidate to the hiring manager or to the recruiter and tell why this one is the perfect candidate. Yeah. But I really follow this. This is actually really like, I think 10, 15 years ago, everybody thought, okay, like the career track looks like this. You're first in sourcing, doing a little bit LinkedIn, then you're a big, wonderful recruiter, and then you're getting a big, wonderful HR business partner. And I don't follow this career track. I think it's all on one level. And I think it's important to have it like this also, because it's a different kind of career and it's a different kind of skill and mindset you have as a sourcer, recruiter, or also as a HR business partner.
Okay, that's interesting, talking about these career tracks. So I also think that sourcing can get a very senior function. I remember, I think 3-4 years ago, I met the first senior sourcer ever in my life. It was somebody at Meta who I think it was at a conference in Amsterdam. And he told me about all the stuff that he did and the sourcings he had to do for Meta in terms of, I think, senior data scientists and also senior engineers on certain levels, that also certain sources just were qualified to work on certain roles because they need to have a certain network, they need to have a certain expertise in terms of how to pitch for a certain seniority and also how to kind of pre-qualify and so on. And also the levels of activities, what they had in terms of targets in the whole headcount planning process, that you backwards plan from these are the requisitions or the people that need to be onboarded at a certain time. This is what we need to have signed or started at a certain time. This is what we need to sign at a certain time. And therefore, we know by each region or country and function what sourcing activities we need to do and how long we can draft the hiring process. That for me was then at some point, it's like, wow, this can get really big.
Yeah, totally.
What were the goals you had for sources?
Oh,
Or
actually,
have still?
yes. So of course, it really differs from the kind of bonus system. So actually, at the Deutsche Bahn, so we didn't have a target or goal. Yeah, it was like that we really had to defend ourselves that we don't get too many jobs. Yeah, because as a sourcer, when you have 20, 25 parallel jobs, forget it, you can't do sourcing anymore. So we really changed then the project and also told also our recruiters, sorry, we are full. Yeah, or special kind of jobs we can take over, and some you have to source by yourself. So we also did trainings for recruiters that they don't give us too many jobs, actually, that they also source by themselves. And this is also what we are doing now at Doctolib, is also that we have a hybrid model, that you have recruiters who also source, and we have sourcer who just source. Yeah, and I think this is when you have a bigger size of a company, it's good, because still recruiters, there are some recruiters who love sourcing, others who don't really like it so much, but still it's good to also that they have a special kind of knowledge. Having a target actually as a sourcer is more complicated, because you often get more difficult jobs. Yeah. And it also depends which model you have. Like at the Deutsche Bahn, and not also what we have at Doctolib, is that we have, like the high volume sourcing, like for sales, for example, and there everybody has to source, the recruiter and the sourcers. Then we have other models where we say, okay, there's so special roles, and then it's important to have a sourcer with a special skill set, for example, for core service functions. Yeah. At the Deutsche Bahn, we didn't have any bonus or target on it. Maybe it changed now, but I think it's not. At Doctolib, we also have bonus for the sourcers, that they really also, get a target, that they also get, earn something when they hired someone. Yeah. But what I really love, actually, what at Doctolib is also, and it was also at the Deutsche Bahn, a very big and very close collaboration between recruiters and sources. And it isn't about, it's my candidate and your candidate or something. They are all
what's the
profit from
KPIs you
themselves.
measure?
Actually, there are different KPIs. So I think the traditional ones are, of course, response quote, or time to hire, or time to source. Yeah, so it's also time to fill. Also, how many candidates you were talking to, how many, how is the quote that he or she, the candidate, gets in the next step.
The conversion rates?
The conversion rates. Yes. So these are what we have at Doctolib. It's really cool. We have a very cool dashboard, and we can really see this, and really can see also what is about inbound, what is outbound, that we really can measure and see how many people are really going through which funnel, and really how is the conversion rate.
In case you have any feedback or anything you want to share with me, please send me an email on thomas@peoplewise.com or hit me up on LinkedIn. And in case you really enjoy the show, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And do you also measure then the number of offers or hires?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Actually, as a source,
how do you interpret it?
Yeah. Yes. As a sourcer, actually, also at the Deutsche Bahn, we measured more on the offers, because at the end, hiring is two-sided. Yeah. So if the candidate says, no, I have another offering, or it's not so attractive, or so, the sourcer can't do something about it. Yeah. But I think for a sourcer is more the number of offerings more important. And for the recruiter, of course, is more the hiring. Yeah. Because maybe he or she can do some more about it. It's about salary and benefits and all of that, and how do you do the contract. But at the end, the recruiting, the talent acquisition team is for hiring and not also for offering. So we are happy about offers, but of course, at the end, the hires count. Yeah. But as a sourcer, I see it a little bit differently.
And how do you see it?
I see that for the sourcer, the KPI number of offers should be more important and should be more valued.
Yeah. And because you cannot really impact the closing of the candidate, or
Yes.
because you could also interpret it in a way that you say, okay, there is a certain requirement and you should also already pre-qualify that well, that you don't even let the people through that you cannot close. But of course, sometimes the requirements that are set are maybe not so realistic, right? So you also don't want to have to factor in that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and there are so many factors, actually. Maybe the candidate thinks, oh, what a nice sourcer. And then he or she talks with the recruiter and thinks, oh my gosh. And then sees the hiring manager and says again, oh my gosh. Yeah. So the sourcer has maybe picked and found the right candidate. But what happens later in the process, they can't do anything about it. Yeah. They don't know if maybe the hiring manager asking this. I think the horror question for sources are when the hiring manager is asking, okay, why did you apply for this company or for this job? And the source says, no, don't ask this question. So I think for the sourcer is really, of course, finding people, selling these people. But at the end, what happened later in the recruiting process, they can't do anything about it. Yeah.
Maybe some final tips from yourself on sales sourcing, because Doctolib is, I think, really sales sourcing heavy. Do you have some best practices or tips, or also learnings what you made in terms of mistakes you don't do again?
Yeah. I think first of all is, of course, working very, very closely together with the hiring managers, and especially also doing the planning very well. Yeah, that we are doing a realistic planning. I think this is the first step in being successfully in recruiting. So we work very close together with the sales planning team, talking about in which cities it makes sense to find which sales manager, and also on what time, and which, if it's more junior or has more experience. So this is, I think, the first thing what is really important, looking at the team setup, and if right now is the right time to hire here someone. Because when they have, for example, already a lot of new joiners, they don't put again new joiners in there because they're digesting that already. Yeah. So this is the planning is the first step. The second step is really, working very closely together with the hiring manager, understanding what do they really looking for. Because especially the sales profiles are a big challenge, because you can't really tell, even if someone is doing sales since 10 years, if he or she is a good salesman or saleswoman. And so you really have to be very close together with the hiring manager, giving each other feedback if this or candidate fits or not. Because often we get the information, oh, we just someone who can talk and is good in communication and has the salesy attitude. Yeah, he or she doesn't have to be out of sales. Yeah, so actually it's the same what I said about sources. Yeah, so they don't need the background of recruiting, people, HR, whatever. But then as a sourcer, as a recruiter, makes this, when it's so open, also very difficult. Yeah, because you really have to actually, after talking with the people, then you understand what if he or she is fitting for it. So this is actually this third thing what I'm saying. Be open for profiles. Don't really look only for salespeople, because there are lots of people out there who are also good salesperson who are not having as a background sales. Yeah. The fourth thing, so this is also a sourcing tip. Yeah, but it makes it more difficult, of course. Yeah. And the fourth tip,
you cannot filter on that.
No, you can't. Yeah, you really have to maybe see, okay, who has maybe done something in service, or was maybe also before, when he or she was a student, working for a restaurant or whatever. Maybe then you see, or in marketing or whatever, then you can see. What I really also think is important for recruiting or sourcing at sales, really we have a big bunch of benefits. But of course, when you are selling or pitching for the candidate, really listening to the candidate, understanding what he or she really needs, and then pitching your benefits. Because having the whole catalog there, maybe they don't really need it actually. Yeah. So when someone is more in sports, of course, you're telling them we have an Auburn Sports Club possibility to be in every city in Germany doing sports at Auburn Sports Club or something, because when you travel a lot and so on, and also really preparing your pitching story, because sales is difficult and people who like sales really differentiate also what they are selling and why. And I think we are really lucky at Doctolib because we have a purpose. So we really want to transform the health system in Germany. And so that's why we can tell a good story also. So I think these are the 4 things what I'm, think it's really important when you're doing recruiting or sourcing for sales.
Thank you. Any recommendations I should interview next on a guest? I don't know yet.
Of course, Professor Anja Lüthi, for example, she is a good guest. She's a professor at the Brandenburg University. And even though she's over 60, I would say she's the most trendy recruiting employer branding person I know. So she's really, having all the time very cool guests at her seminars for the students. So when you are a student at Professor Lüthi's university course, then you're really lucky because then you really hear the best recruiters and sources. And of course, she learns a lot about it also. And she has a big network and knows a lot. And she's also the founder of our Female HR Excellence Network. So we were at the retention. We did the retention session at the RC23 about female recruiting. I think she would be a really interesting guest. Yes.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, Charlotte, thank you very much for being my guest, and I really enjoyed the sourcing deep dive.
Thank you, Thomas.